and I bust ass again.
Oh my god, of course you did.
Cut it? Nah.
Cut that.
We ain't
Cut that.
cutting
Edit that out.
I'm looking at Penny and he's going.
Abraham winking when he hasn't showered in a few days.
Abraham stinking.
Bro.
One, then just go.
One.
Fuck. I hate
Now
that.
we in it.
I always hated that.
What
It's
up?
fun. It's fun to do to other people though.
Save your life. I always like that one.
Yeah.
What
like,
up?
And you're like pushing them. Anyways,
Here we are back again. Cultureology.
we're one light.
Back
Fucking,
again.
yeah. Devin the dude had a colonoscopy. He just couldn't reschedule.
Yeah, I had some shit to take care of.
Yeah,
literally.
something wasn't right between the rooter and the tutor. Something wasn't right. But anyways, I messaged you guys over like the week from last week because this came up to me and I was just like thinking about it. Just like movies that you love personally that like you never hear anybody talk about. Like you never, and like if this movie does get brought up, you're like, oh shit, like that's my shit.
Yeah.
Fucking you got any of those?
Mike?
Yeah. For some reason, it seems that I've never heard anyone ever talk about these movies. And these movies,
We got multiple. I only have one.
you might have not even have heard any of these movies. That's how low-key dope they are. But the first one I want to talk about is Predestination.
Probably the greatest film ever made.
I've
Yeah,
never seen it.
it's amazing.
I've heard you guys talk about it before, but I've never seen it.
The thing about these movies that I'm discussing is that I can't even talk about them that much because they're just like, you got to go see them.
Yeah.
So
You have to
all I'm going to
experience.
say is that it has Ethan Hawke in it, who's my dude.
That's my
Yep.
guy.
Yep.
That's my guy.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke's one of my favorites. He's actually coming out with a new movie that he's like some horror, like
Yeah, I seen the
Sniper,
previews
dude.
for that shit.
that looks
kinda
crazy as hell.
Good. Where he's like got the mask on and shit.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be in Moon Knight.
Oh,
Yeah, I was just
shit.
saying- I was
Yeah, I
just thinking,
forgot
like,
about that.
Isn't he coming into something Marvel?
See, speaking of our ending segment, we got another one in the ranks.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. But yeah,
We'll get back to you.
yeah.
yeah,
we'll
that
come-
movie's really cool. It's like
Stay tuned.
like the movies on this, like on my list of these kind of movies are all like really like
Well, paint a picture for us. What is the movie about?
psychological, and they mess with your mind. Okay, so it's about time travel,
Okay.
you know, and it starts with him in this bar talking to this girl, and he's like, yo, like time travel is real, and she's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So like then they go on this epic tale, trying to catch this guy who's on the news, like blowing places up. He's called I forget what he's called, but he's some bomber. They give him some name.
Yeah.
And he's blowing up all these buildings, and
that's literally all you should say about it.
yeah, and that's all you really need to know. Like she follows him into the basement, shit goes down, and it leads you down this epic rabbit hole of just what the hell, like mind fucking.
Give it a score. Give it Mike's movie score.
10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10.
That's like literally when I saw that movie, I was like
when you if this movie just came on, you'd flip the fuck out. Like you'd be like,
Yeah.
Well, it's
like
one
you're
of those
watching it no
movies
matter what. Like
that
if it
I
comes
want
on.
everyone to see. It's like
Yeah,
one of those
totally.
movies that like if it's like if we're talking about some like different level conversation on like surface level shit, and we're getting into like time travel and all this crazy shit that I like to talk about, it's one of the movies coming up. Like, yo, you gotta watch
10
this
out
movie.
of 10 from you as well.
Yeah, just because it's one of those movies that I
What
want
era is
everyone
this
to
movie?
see.
Like when did this come out?
came out in like 2014.
I think it was right around the I am awakening. Right at the perfect moment.
But you know why I like it is because I've only seen it once, and it was such an experience. I think it's kind of funny that I've only seen it that one time. I definitely wanted to go back and check it out. But after I saw that movie, just on a storytelling in a storytelling sense. Like after I saw that movie, I was like, damn, like what, like no other movie compares. Like just because of the
Wow.
just because of the pure concept that this movie created, like with the writing and the storytelling, I was like, that's such a mind blowing, like who thinks of that? And like and to turn it into a movie was sort of like, to me was, I was kind of like, damn, every other movie is just a joke, like a plaything. Like,
Wow.
Well, and
yeah,
even like
So
time
best
movies,
movie of all time, are
that's
you
what's
saying?
crazy
I think so.
about what you
You're
said, Frank.
saying that Ethan Hawke in Predestination, that is the best movie of all time. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, like I think like that movie is
Wow.
the reason. I think that movie is the reason why filmmaking was created, so that we can
Wow.
get to making that movie.
Wow, he's moving mad.
Well, Frank, it's funny that you say that because there's like we were saying, like how the story is structured, like by the end it makes me think. Like I'm like, that's like one of the dopest kind of loop, like kind of things they put into a movie I've ever seen.
Gotta see.
Where
I'd
it's
throw
like
it-
it's so dope how they do it. And I'm like, wow, like that's
Yeah.
and it makes me think. Like
Yeah.
I was actually thinking of like this comic book character, like the story that I
2014,
had
yeah.
for like this graphic novel, and that
Got
played a part in it.
84%
Like
on Rotten Tomatoes.
the whole you know, the whole scenario,
Mhm.
and that kind of played a part where I'm like, that would be sick if they like played with that more. Like nothing's ever played with something like that where it's like
to see that story kind of fleshed out,
yeah,
like into a series or
or like a
sequel or-
superhero or something like
Huh.
like he's the one
It's on
that's like
Tubi. I have to watch that.
the ripple, you know, like the anomaly.
All right, I'm gonna
You gotta
watch
see
it.
It's
And
Brandon.
if it's
You need
anything,
to watch it.
if it's anything other than a 10 out of 10, I'm gonna be pissed.
I mean, it's probably all subjective, but that movie is like
Just trying
literally,
to tell me
It's
this is the
definitely
best movie
subjective.
of all
It's,
time.
it's definitely
in
subjective.
my opinion,
I'm
this-
all into shit like that. Like that's my shit. Like
it's the
I love
greatest
it.
movie. It's the greatest movie of all time in Frank's brain.
Well, and I think the fact that it's not known, like probably no one watching this knows what we're talking about. Like
I
no
feel
one's
like-
probably ever seen this.
I feel like when they made that movie and submitted it to like the movie studio and everything, like the powers that be saw that movie, they were like, "You ain't putting this shit out. Like we ain't putting this in theaters. What the fuck?" Like
Well, it might be like
this
it
this
might
shit
be
going
just
direct
made
to-
for us. Like
shit
that's why
going
we
direct-
saw it.
this shit going direct to DVD and motherfucking Walmart.
But yeah, that's
Oh.
one.
But
All
it's
right, well, that's not exactly where I thought this was gonna start off at.
And
But
then
the best
another
movie of
one
all time.
that
Yeah.
no one
crazy.
talks about either, and Frank mentioned this in our chat, but it's coherence.
Yeah.
This
Which-
movie's kind of walking the same line as this movie. It's a time travel movie. A little of the story is there's a comet passing over the
Oh
planet.
shit! I got two. I got two now.
There's a comet passing over the planet, right? And they're having this dinner party, a bunch of people. You don't know who any of them are at the time,
Yeah.
but they're having this dinner party, and there's this comet passing by, and electricity goes out. And then they start to investigate like what's going on with this electricity. And then you realize that it's really manipulating time and space and realities. And it just takes you on this epic journey where if it's one of those movies, like if you watch it a second time, and same with the one I just talked about, Predestination, you're going to get all these little hints that they put in there that are like so
Foreshadow.
mind-blowing. And I think Coherence has way more of these scattered around it, where it's like, oh, those aren't the same dudes as this, and it's like it doesn't tell you any of this. It's like
Yeah.
stuff you have to discover as the story starts to reveal. And then
Yeah.
later, if you watch it a second time, which I have done just to get my mind blown, it's like everyone's I can't even say it. It's like everyone's different versions.
That's another.
That's all
that's-
I'll say.
That's another one you can't really say too much about the plot without like giving it away, because it's just so. It's such a. You know what I really like about that movie? Because I've only both of those movies I've only seen the one time,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like and I like that's the film goer and like the cinemaphile in me. That's what I love about movies, is that like there's just some movies out there that you could just watch one time, and like they just have such a impact. And like Mike, you were saying before, like after you watch Predestination, and what I love about movies in general is like they linger with you. You know what I mean? Like after you're done watching them, they're so thought provoking, and you can have these like crazy conversations with people that you watched it with, or just it just gives you a trippy like perspective on life, and be like, damn, that would be crazy if this and that and da, da, da.
Well, and that it's interesting because like if I I was talking about this with the graphic novel that I've thought about, you know, just in my head, it's like that's the kind of shit I would be interested in making, like some different shit that's just like thought provoking after the end, where you're like, what? And like I don't really give away too much, and I'm like vague with certain things, but it's like open for interpretation kind of things. Like that's
Like
the
you
kind
want
of
people
art.
making fan
Like if
theories.
I made a film, that's what I would want to make, a film like that. Something
Like you want
something
people
so
to
crazy.
have fan theories about what happened.
I'm the
Yeah.
one that fucked me.
Like kind of like a cult following. Like I feel like those movies might have like a small cult following of people that I don't know
You know what the
about,
fuck?
but like it's one of those movies where you're like,
There's all
if
kinds
someone
of
knows
movies
about it,
that
they're
are
like, oh yeah,
popular
that's
as fuck
good.
that have that.
That's good. And I have one more, but I'll save it.
I'm
Get them out.
I'm the
Get 'em
one
out.
that fucked me.
Okay. And the third one is kind of along the same lines. It's a little different. It's way more trippier. This movie's like the trippiest movie I've ever seen. Frank's
Is it-
also.
Is it Enter the
this-
Void?
Huh?
Is it Enter the Void?
No, that is a good one though.
Okay.
It's not Enter the Void. That's not as trippy as this one I'm about to say, which is Waking Life.
Oh, I did say that one too, though, in the chat.
That's what I'm saying, dude. You got all the ones that I
Never
was going to
seen
call.
any of these movies.
Yeah, you've probably never even heard of these.
I think it should. I have a real difficult time like taking a chance on a movie. Like
I think those are the best movies. I'm
Especially
always
if I
looking
don't
for
know
them.
nobody that's in it, I'm just like, this is like 2 hours long, bro. Like, I
Yeah.
really want to use it to watch this.
It's like that.
Sometimes those are the best, like ones though, like that you end up like it's just like a little gem that you kind of just like an undiscovered like little nook.
Well, it's like what we were talking about before. It's like because no one knows about them or no one talks about them, it makes them
They're not all overhyped and like over consumed by the masses and like just pumped through social media constantly with memes, and like it's just like it's like sacred and preserved in its own little secret hiding spot, and that's what makes it so special.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's like
Right.
imagine if like The Matrix was just like a low-key kind of film. It's kind of like the first ones I was talking about are kind of like in that aspect where it's like I could see that some people saying that they're like one of the best films I've ever seen just because of the dynamics of it. But yeah, Waking Life's the other one, which is all about like trippy, and the art of this movie is what really makes it. It's kind of like that movie with Keanu Reeves. Reeves was in a Scanner Darkly, yes, where it's kind of like trippy and like it looks like painting, yeah, like
it's like all done in like pastel, like
pastel paintings or something. Yeah. It's really interesting, but this movie is my jam because it's right up there with Dreams. It takes you on this thing where you don't know what's going on half the time, which is what I love about it. Like it kind of doesn't hold your hand. Like none of these movies really hold your hand.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so he's walking through the street, the main guy, but there's multiple main characters in this movie. That's what's really interesting about it. But he's walking and he gets like he gets hit by a car, but then like it skips to another scene where is he dead, or is he in a dream, or is he in a coma? Like, but then it just starts playing with all these other aspects. Like this guy that keeps appearing is like driving a boat with wheels.
Oh yeah,
dude, it's trippy. And but what's really dope about this movie is that they're always talking about like deep psychological shit. Like the guy, like he gets in this boat, this fucking boat with wheels, and the main guy's like, what? Like I was just about to get hit by a car. I don't know what's going on. And then he's all like, and then the guy's like driving. He's like, yeah, don't color in the lines. Life's not about coloring in the lines. Scribble all over the paper and shit. It's like just like these deeper meanings to things. And there's also this really crazy part in this movie, and I'm just gonna say this part because it's so nuts, where this guy is giving this like big psychological or like philosophizing.
Are you talking about the Rage Against the
He's a
Machine?
philosopher now.
Oh yes, exactly. The rage. I was like, what are you talking about? Exactly. So
Yeah.
there's this guy who's like just giving this big epic speech, and he's like blowing your mind. Like if you're listening to it or watching it, you'd be like, he makes a lot of sense. But then he proceeds to do like what
very profound.
what like the Buddhist monks done, and even on the cover of Rage Against the Machine, where they burn themselves. They dump gasoline on them, and then they burn themselves to well,
when they did that at the time, they were protesting Vietnam.
Yes, yeah. So it's kind of like it plays with all this stuff, like society, like what's real, what's not, what's worth caring about, what's not. It takes you on this epic story of just mini stories. There's like mini stories in it, and it's all over the place, but all the stuff that they're talking about, it's like, wow, like that's some trippy shit. Like it's just trippy. It's the trippiest movie I've ever seen.
If I can remember right, I think like the very loose plot is that the main character, he's like writing a thesis or an essay or something on something, and he's kind of like interviewing all these different people he meets along. It's like a day. It takes place like in a day's worth of time, and this kid, like the main character, is like going around and meeting all these people. But like Mike said, it kind of jumps around back and forth between all these different characters. And what I really like about that movie, which actually makes me think about Quentin Tarantino and like why his movies are so good, is if you notice, like if you're a real film buff and like you're a big fan of Tarantino's, you'll notice that he's able to take these really long, drawn out scenes that are just all dialogue, but you become so invested, and he's so good at like these buildups and building suspense that the dialogue actually becomes the action of the scene. Because the first time I saw Inglourious Bastards, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but the first scene when the Nazis walk in and they're talking to the guy, you know, they got the people under the floor, and they're just having this back and forth conversation. Oh, would you prefer to talk in German? Oh, I could speak English. Oh, we could talk in French. And you're kind of like, okay, like this is, you know, let's get to the action or whatever. But then like as the dialogue builds and complicates, then it's almost like, oh God, you're at the edge of your seat the more and more they talk and go back and forth, and you're just like, oh shit.
You talking about the Inglourious Basterds part in the
where they're under the floor?
No, in the beginning when they're drinking milk.
Oh yeah, when she's under the floor and shit.
The whole family's under the floor.
Yeah. That's the part I'm talking about.
The part in the bar too, though.
The bar where they kill my boy Magneto.
Yeah.
Well, and that's that guy's. What's that guy's name? That guy's
three glasses.
That's the guy. That's that guy's first movie. Like the guy who plays that Nazi general. That's the first. Like I heard.
I don't think that's his first. It's not his first movie.
Well,
the first movie I seen him in was Green Hornet with Seth Rogen. He's like the bad drug dealer.
That came out
before.
Dude,
that dude been acting.
Yeah,
that came out before.
Been acting.
Well, that was the first.
Well, I don't know if it came out.
That might be the first we've seen him like popularly.
Yeah, I don't know. Inglourious Basterds came out before actually, but
yeah, I think that was the one movie that like got him like really a big name. Like that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because when he got that role, Quentin didn't even know who this dude was. Like he didn't know who he was, and then he just starts speaking.
Inglourious Basterds was 2009.
Okay.
Damn, 2009.
Yeah.
Green Hornet was 2011.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It was this like first big movie because I seen an interview of Quentin because
Christoph Waltz,
and Quentin said that he didn't even know who this guy was, but as soon as he stepped down to be interviewed or play the part, audition for the part, like he completely blew him away. Like he was able to speak German and all this other shit, and he's like, yeah, this is the dude. And then he's gone on to play,
my guy been in like 125 movies, bro.
Yeah, but no, what he's saying is like that
all
was
the way
like
back to 1977.
no, yeah, he's been acting for a while, but I think Inglorious was like the one that kind of took his career to like
A next level.
you're in the big name. You're in Hollywood now, kid.
Well, if you're in a Quentin film, like you're just
yeah,
like it's not easy to just be in a Quentin
I'm trying to see
film.
if I've seen him in anything pre Inglorious. He was in GoldenEye,
oh shit.
Oh
but
yeah,
just as Russian spy or German spy. I think it's
yeah, he's dope.
that was
I totally
his,
forgot his name too.
Christoph
What's his name?
Christoph Waltz.
Okay, yeah.
he was
He's
in a
my
lot
dude.
of like European shit.
He's my dude. Django, bro. Him and
That was
Django,
probably like
fucking
like
awesome.
a lot of his shit was like European shit. Fucking
Yeah.
so yeah, you're probably right. Like that was like his big like first big
Hollywood?
thing in the States. and
Yeah,
Yeah.
like his big Hollywood film.
shit.
Like,
like his Hollywood debut.
International. He became an international star at that point.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
well, and like what you were just saying, like that's so true with this movie we're also discussing. It's like the dialogue is the important
Oh
part.
yeah, that's what I was getting to.
And like
yeah.
it plays with your mind though too. He's like, because he's always like what you're saying. He's like into this thesis where he's like writing this thesis, but then he's like he keeps asking himself like, "Am I dreaming? Is this
Yeah.
real?" Like he keeps like through the whole thing, and then it just keeps like in real dreams when you ask that question, like your dreams try to like trick you or like
They kind of fall
distract you.
apart, and yeah.
They distract you with dialogue. They're like, "Oh, come check this out." Da da da. And this happens to me all
Or-
the time in my dreams, but
Or they start collapsing and falling apart.
it kind of does that where it's like, is he dead or is he like, is this his like hallucinogen phase after he's dead, like his journey into the afterlife kind of thing, or is he dreaming, or
Yeah.
is this all in
All right,
his
you're
head?
putting your
It's some crazy
ideas
shit.
in my head. I want to go into this with a fresh watch. Man.
Well, that's what's cool about it is like it's very
So
abstract to the point where it's like it's open for interpretation. Like
Well,
you can
and
just
this
watch
movie's
that
so
movie-
abstract that I can't even spoil it. Like thinking about it, like I'm like, what can I say that I could spoil it?
because it's
Nothing.
all about because it's all about consciousness and lucid dreaming and dreams versus your waking life, hence the title. And yeah, but honestly, what I was going to say about coherence, going back to that real quick, what I really like about that movie is that you could shoot that movie on like just an independent, you know what I mean? Because most of the movie just takes place like at a party setting in the house. At one point, they leave the house and they walk around the neighborhood, but it doesn't have all these big crazy effects, and they're not traveling all over the world. You know what I mean? Like
I love how you say that.
we could make that movie. You know what I mean? Like that's what I really liked about Coherence is that it's like a simple execution, like approach, but the concept is really like.
Well,
like,
I love how you
Yeah.
say that. That's so perfect because we could.
yeah.
Like if we had the minds, if we had that idea first, we could have definitely done that.
I mean, obviously the film
Budget.
quality, like I'm sure they spent some money on the cameras. Like you could tell the film quality itself is really
but it
good,
didn't take a lot of other things, other aspects. It's
Yeah, and like, I
one
don't think-
scene.
I don't
and
think
how-
there's any known actors in it. Like it's just like a bunch of randos.
Well, and that's part of
yeah, I
the
looked it
genius
up.
of
I
it.
didn't know nobody.
That's
Yeah.
part of the genius of it, I think, because it's
Because then you're able to
How-
buy into the movie more. You're like, okay, these are just like people. Like it's not like I'm watching Ryan Reynolds or Robert. You know what I mean? Like your brain, you're not going into the movie with all these preconceived like, oh, I know that actor. Oh, I know this actor. I know what their character is going to be like. Or oh, I
Yeah,
know
dude,
what
if
they're
you're
gonna do.
if you're doing like a good like movie about like with some good subject matter,
Mhm.
like that people resonate with and like people care about, like
Yeah.
you don't need like fucking big name people, or like you don't need like $100 million worth of budget and shit like to make a dope movie. Like some movies that I've seen that probably had like the lowest budgets fucking were like dope as hell.
Yeah.
well, you know what?
And
I'm
like
just
you were saying, like
noticing-
it was right, like, and you're thinking like, damn, I could have made this movie, but like just in terms of like what they spent or like where they did it and shit like that. But then you're like, but that's like good directing right there, because I
True.
still fucked with this movie.
Well, yeah, that's like a art.
It's not,
like-
it wasn't reliant on like special effects and CGI and shit. Like not to like put validity into some certain director's opinion that we're gonna talk about a little later, but like just like you don't need all that shit for those types of movies.
Yeah.
Well, look at like Clerks, like that kind of shit. Like it's kind of
like Clerks.
like
we could have fucking made Clerks.
Yeah, that's
that
what I'm
movie's
saying.
fucking amazing.
It's one of the best.
Yeah,
But
that's fucking cult classic right
that's
there.
so awesome that you said that and pointed that out, because all of these movies, including my favorite movie that I was talking about before the pod, a Joker, they're all like personal stories. There's not a lot of people in it. There's like 4 characters, and
they're all character driven.
Yes. All these movies I just talked about.
We're like 20 minutes in. We're still talking about the first
Mike
3.
movies?
Frank,
yes.
Yeah, we're first talking about Mike movies. Like, Frank, what are your 3?
All right. Oh, 3. Well, I got 2 for sure.
Whichever ones you got.
And they're both.
I'm just saying I have 3 now because while listening, I came up with a couple of movies.
I mean, I think I have a 3rd one, but I'll see how I feel about it when I get to it. But anyway, my 2 main ones I wanted to bring up, which coincidentally are both Ewan McGregor movies for my Obi-Wan Kenobi fans.
Yeah.
Big Fish. That
Big Fish
is like one of my.
This isn't how I die. I love that line.
That's like one of my favorite parts of the movie too. But yeah, Big Fish is like literally one of my favorite movies.
I watched that in high school.
Dude.
I don't know if you remember this, Brandon, like if you were there, because we had like different, not me and you, well, maybe me and you, but you know how like Excel had like different blocks, like English classes and math classes, and like it was all over the place. I remember the first time I watched that movie was actually at Excel.
Maybe it was Excel then. I'm just remembering I watched it in school.
Yeah, it was in an English class with Mrs. Bell. And
sure.
And
I know that to be true. Like
I was like, damn, this movie's crazy. Because first of all, I was like, oh shit, Obi-Wan Kenobi in this joint.
Yeah.
I'm already in. And then after that, like at first,
because I was like, come on, do some flips or something.
Well, it's funny because sometimes like when you're watching a movie in school, you're like, it's gonna be some whack ass movie I'm gonna care about.
Yeah.
But then I was invested. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty cool. And obviously it wasn't until years and years later I found out it made sense why I liked it so much, because I'm a big Tim Burton fan, and that's a Tim Burton movie. I was like, oh, fucking duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you should do more live action things. Like a lot. Like I'd like to see.
Yeah.
I got another topic.
He doesn't miss
with this one actually.
I'll say that about him. He doesn't miss. He makes
Big Fish
films.
Ewan, my dog. Who else is in that movie? Is he like the only household name?
The other household names in that are for all my American Horror Story fans, Jessica Lange plays his mom. Dr. Manhattan, he plays his son.
Oh,
I always forget his name. Billy Kudrup or Kudrup, however you say it.
Let's learn a thing. Let's learn a thing or two.
His dad is the guy that plays his dad is a pretty big, well-known actor, but his name escapes me. But it's got also Tom Burton's wife in it, Helena. Oh, it's got
what's his name? Billy what? Billy
Crudup or whatever. But who plays Bellatrix? She's in it.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Love it,
dude. Aside, just a little aside, like that I heard about like not too long ago actually. This blew my fucking mind. Okay, so in real life, the dude who played what's his face? Professor Lockhart, like the guy who directed Thor and shit.
Yeah.
Was married to the lady who plays Professor Trelawney.
Oh,
what's her name? Her name Emma something. Anyways, her, yeah. They were married. He then cheated on her with Helena Bonham Carter.
Dang.
And they all was on Harry Potter together and shit.
Yeah.
Like that fucked me up. And then like they divorced and then he married her. That fucked me up. I was like, damn, all this shit went on Harry Potter's set.
Yeah.
Sorry, that just blew my mind when I heard it.
I love Professor Trelawney.
Crazy ass. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, but that I just had to tell you before I forgot.
That's funny. But yeah,
and that's all factual. You could Google that shit.
That's crazy. But I mean, I don't know. I could be, just living under a rock, but that's rarely a movie that I ever hear brought up in
Big Fish.
Yeah.
You're right.
You
remember Sunny, right? You guys.
Oh yeah, Sunny D.
Yeah, Sunny D. That's like one of his favorite movies.
Oh hell yeah, of course it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that movie because it's very Alice in Wonderland-y, like that's the kind of archetype that I like to follow, is like very Wizard of Oz. You have the main character that's like meant for bigger and greater things, leaves like the plain old boring town and goes on this like crazy ass trippy adventure and meets all these characters, and but then it like gets you in the heartstrings at the end and you're like, oh god, why? And
it reminds me a lot of like it reminds me, and it's actually better than this film, but it reminds me of like James and the Giant Peach, which is also
I was literally just thinking in my brain like
it reminds me like when I first saw Big Fish, I was like, oh, this is like James and the Giant Peach, kind of like with the same story.
Yeah, for some reason it has like similar vibes.
Yeah, it does.
That's crazy. I don't know why before you said that I was literally thinking like, kind of reminds me of James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah.
Damn, that's
totally
crazy.
Does.
Yeah. And it's got the guy that plays his giant friend that's like he was actually in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Dang. I'm gonna have to look into that.
He plays like the actor unfortunately passed away because of his medical condition, but he plays like I forget the gentleman's name, but he plays like
Are you still talking about Big Fish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not the clown. That's Sid Haig. I know him. But the other guy, there's another brother in House of a Thousand Corpses. He's like this huge, tall guy. He's like kind of disfigured.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But he plays the giant character in Big Fish.
Wow.
And fucking it's got Danny DeVito in it, another frequent Tim Burton collaborator.
Well, and that's one of those movies I gotta go watch like now. Like after
real, I haven't seen it in time.
Because I haven't seen that in forever since like it first dropped.
Like when Brandon, it's funny when you proposed that question, I was like, damn, what are some movies that I can literally just throw on and they can just play?
Yeah, and like everything
every
that's
day,
happening.
and I don't even need to necessarily sit down and watch it. But
yeah,
like
like
love
you
it.
can have that on like while you're vacuuming, like while you're fucking like folding clothes and shit,
falling
like,
asleep.
Yeah, you just know, and like you can see it in your head, even though like you're not really watching it. You can hear it, and you can see everything that's on that screen.
But it's funny because those same movies, even though I've seen them a million times, I'm like, okay, I want to sit down and watch this. Like,
yeah.
All right, so Big Fish.
Big Fish is one, and then the next one that I don't know, maybe you guys have heard of, maybe have seen, maybe not, because I literally never hear anyone talk about this movie. And I remember when it was first coming out back in the day, like I remember seeing ads about it on TV and stuff, and it looked really odd and strange. I was like, that movie looks stupid.
I will say it then.
But then eventually became one of my favorite movies of all time, but also starring Ewan McGregor, The Men Who Stare
at Goats.
Yep.
At motherfucking Goats.
At motherfucking greatest of all times.
Well, and
I've never seen it, but I've heard of it. Like,
I've never seen it as well, but it's always been one of those movies I'm like, I need to check this out.
You know what my problem was?
Like I'll see it, I'm like, I need to check this out because I know it's going to be epic. Like my mind's telling me this movie's epic.
That movie came out like around the time of Inglourious Bastards.
Did it?
Yeah. And like, I just kind of thought, I was like, what is this? I was like, is this just like a spoof of this one? Like, I'm pretty sure they came out in similar times.
Now I'm curious.
Well, and it's interesting because I've always wanted to watch this.
Same
year,
dude.
watch this movie.
I told you. I thought it was a spoof. I was like, I don't need this. I
But
thought
yeah,
it
I've
was a
always wanted to
spoof of
watch this
Inglourious
movie,
Basterds.
and I've never like actually got to see it. So I'm gonna have
So
to put that on my list.
So you know what's crazy, Mike? I think you dig it a
And no one
lot.
talk about it. You're right.
So it's not a spoof.
No,
All right.
it's its own thing, and it's crazy because
I am.
as fuck,
Yeah,
like
that's why I want to watch it.
ridiculous.
I've always
But
been.
you don't necessarily like expect that going in, like when you're watching it. You know what I mean? You're like, because when I first
George Clooney in that, yeah.
yeah, because when I first saw that or ads for that movie and stuff, I was like, what is that movie even about? Like that's why I had like, no investment. I had no cares at all for it. But then I came across it years later at a Barnes and Noble, and it was only like $5. And only because I'm such a big Ewan McGregor fan and George Clooney, I was like, damn, both of them in a movie together. I was like, it's $5. I was like, what could it hurt? You know, I was like, I'll check it out. And like I said, literally became one of my favorite movies of all time. But to loosely describe it without giving anything away, in the beginning, Ewan McGregor is like a journalist, and he predominantly does stuff like with war or just like, you know, international conflict. Like he's going, you know, to the location and reporting on what's going on over there and blah blah blah. Something happens in the beginning that kind of tears his life apart, and he has to like, he's like all depressed and stuff. So he's trying to find like his next assignment to kind of pull him out of the dumps, and he stumbles onto this very odd case. And basically what the movie's like loosely based around is some actual factual shit that happened back in the day, like during the Vietnam days. The US military was like researching like paranormal like warfare, like how they can implement that into their you know, training the troops and like stuff like that. So it's very loosely based on that. Jeff Bridges, Ironmonger, is in it.
Jeff Bridges in there?
Yeah. Kevin Spacey. Yeah. But it's funny because he plays a despicable character.
He was the chosen one.
So it's like he kind of fits the part in the movie. But
great.
Yeah, it's just hilarious because
he's like, I know this role.
Well, that's the other thing about it is like when it starts off, you're kind of like, okay, like it's sort of like it's like a dramedy, you know, like it's like funny but not too funny. It's more about like you become invested in Obi-Wan's character. You're like, okay, this guy's about to go on a journey. Let's see what this is about. He eventually tracks down George Clooney's character, and he's basically trying to get a story. He's trying to get the scoop, and like, because he still works for a newspaper and blah blah blah. And George Clooney is like this mysterious character that's sort of like hard to track down, but he ends up meeting him and finding him, and then the rest of the movie goes. But what's funny about it is as soon as George Clooney enters the picture, from there on out, the movie is just fucking hilarious. Like, and Jeff Bridges is funny. Like, it's a lot more funnier than I had expected, and I think that's why it grew on me so fast, and why I was like, I fucking love this movie. But it's and like Mike kind of hinted at earlier, it's got a lot of, it talks a lot about like larger than life concepts of like psychedelic shit, and like because the time period it's sort of based around, when everyone was protesting, kind of going back to Rage Against the Machine, it sort of takes place around the time when everyone was protesting the Vietnam War back here in the US, and like the whole hippie / counterculture was becoming such a big thing. And it goes into detail a lot about that, and like anti-war, and there's also like some cool Star Wars references in there for any Star Wars fans. So it's a really good movie. You guys should check it out. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out. It's always been on my mind, if that makes sense. And what's funny, when you were talking about it's a You know, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi movie.
That was the one you thought?
I thought of both of those, Big Fish and that. I was like, those are because I looked at the list. I was like, oh yeah, those are probably the ones because
I thought Big Fish
That's so
and
crazy.
Angels and Demons.
Wow.
we're
Which is a
we're
good
on
one.
some shit, Frank. You got
I
my
need
movie.
to. I still need to
just said it.
see.
Do you have what?
I still
You
need
haven't
to
seen
see.
Angels and Demons? Is that what you're about to say, man?
No, I still need to see Inferno.
Which one's that?
That's the third one.
There's 3? I didn't even know there was a third one.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that? Never mind.
I haven't seen Inferno either.
So do you have a third one or no?
If I had to choose, and what's funny is like it's between two of them, but I'll go with the one that I'm leaning more towards. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen it because it had a big theatrical release and all that stuff. I just don't hear about it talked, or I just don't hear it talked about a lot. Especially because it's such a big staple franchise in sci-fi culture and in that sense. But Blade Runner 2049, the sequel to the original Blade Runner, there's only 2 so far.
Oh, I gotta see that one still.
They did make an animated series that went to Netflix. I haven't seen it. I don't know what it's about. It gave me kind of Animatrix vibes. But Blade Runner 2049 is literally one of my favorite movies of all time because it's very solemn, like very sullen and very kind of melancholy. There's not a lot of like cheerful, funny moments. Like the humor is very subtle and very kind of dry. Like it'll make you chuckle, but it's not like a laughing movie. It's very, it has like a very serious undertone.
Yeah.
But if you're into shit like that, I dig it. It's another movie that I can just kind of throw on in the background while I'm doing shit. And it's just a spectacle, you know, like it's very artistically done and like very just beautiful to look at. But if I definitely like, you could watch that movie without knowing anything about the Blade Runner franchise, without seeing the first one and just enjoying it. But it wasn't until I saw that movie, because I had seen the original Blade Runner like years before, maybe when I was like young kid, and then again when I was like a little older. So I had like fragments of it in my brain of just like the overall kind of premise of the Blade Runner franchise. But it wasn't until I saw 2049, and fucking props to Ryan Gosling, because his performance in that movie is, I think, mainly why I love it so much. But when I saw 2049, I was like, damn, like that movie kind of really got me hooked into the whole lore and mythology, and like kind of like the Matrix, like where I just wanted to explore and research and know everything about the Blade Runner universe. I was like, fuck, it's just so well done. I just fucking love it. And yeah, you guys should check it out.
Well, dude, and it's interesting that you said that, because I've had a chance to watch that movie twice, but I needed to refresh my mind. I wanted to watch the original before I go into this one. So that's refreshing to hear that, like, you don't need to go in, because I was like, I had a chance, like I could have sat down and watched it, and I was like, no, I want to watch the first one because I don't want to just be thrown into some shit.
Well, if you're a true, like a diehard fan of franchises and kind of knowing, you know, the story,
I got it.
Then I definitely, like, you should just.
Plus, I just hear that the original Harrison Ford, like, that's just a must watch.
It is. It's like it's a really good. It was so ahead of its time. I think I briefly mentioned this in the chat a while back, but Blade Runner kind of laid the foundation for movies like The Matrix, iRobot, Total Recall, like all those sort of futuristic, like.
You know, another one that's coming to mind.
Hey! You got your 3. Frank got his 3.
I was just gonna say that falls in line with what he's saying.
I don't give a fuck. You know, fall into nothing.
Minority
fall into nothing.
Nah, I was gonna say AI, but fuck it.
Oh yeah,
It's a good movie.
it does. You know what? That's funny. I never.
Is that the one with baby Haley Joel Osment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jude Law.
And fucking Jude Law. That's
it's like kind of laid the foundation for those movies. Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't know that? Haley Joel Osment is Sora, dude. You didn't know that?
That's insane.
Get the fuck out of here. Leave the call. That's crazy. That's been It's been time. We were like in middle school when those games came out.
I never played them.
You never played Kingdom Hearts?
No.
They're
You
amazing.
were like the PlayStation guy.
Well, you know what's funny is when I would go to Blockbuster and like Kingdom Hearts would be sitting on the shelf. I'd be like,
Like,
what?
taken?
This is cool. And I'd turn it around and I'd be like, oh, what is this? I wanted to be the Disney characters. I didn't give a fuck about the main guy.
You got to fucking fight alongside the Disney characters. It's even cooler.
I was
Oh,
like,
it
it's
is
not-
dope. And you
I
know
was
what?
And like
not
you
enough.
turn into them. Like when you go to the Lion King planet, you're a fucking lion. It's
That's
dope.
Juan, I just wanted to
Anyways,
say this real quick too about now that we're on Kingdom Hearts. I actually just got an emulator where I could play PlayStation 2
shit.
games on my my phone.
nice.
I got Kingdom Hearts, haven't played it yet, but oh
All
god,
right.
I'm gonna go to town on that game.
I
I
just remember.
fucking
On
I
my
just remember-
phone.
Yeah.
We're in the future, bro. What the fuck is this? Like
I just remember asking someone that had played them in elementary school, and because I remember looking on the back of the game and like Jack Skellington is like this, like,
yeah.
and I was like, I was such a big Nightmare Before Christmas fan and Tim Burton and all
That's
that.
one of my favorite worlds too that they go to in that.
I was like, oh, that's sick. I was asking my friend that played. I was like, can you be Jack or whatever? And that's when he told me, he's like, no, you don't. You're only the main guy, and everyone just kind of helps you. I was like, fuck that game.
it's good though.
I'll be right back.
You ever
wanna
like
talk-
break your leg?
And while he's gone, you want to talk
Oh,
about
okay.
someone who like a game that has a strong like cult following?
No.
Is that game? Like people
Yeah, for
literally
I still haven't
cry,
played the third one.
like because they just put Sora in the new
I think he's in Super Smash.
Super Smash. Yes, they just put him in the new Super Smash, and people were literally crying that he was in
That's too
fucking the
much.
game. Like for the reveal,
That's too much.
they were bawling.
I don't like. I certainly like when it comes to being a fan of something like that. Like I certainly like the things that I'm a fan of. I'm really a fan of. Like I really love them, but it doesn't like get me like emotional like that. Like fucking like to where
Not
I'll
games.
cry like that and shit. Like fucking
Movies
like,
do. Movies now that I'm older, I fucking
yeah, but like
Cry
I'm
my ass off
talking
for
about
a film.
things that you're a fan like you're a part of that fan base, like Marvel or like your favorite sports team or like your favorite video game franchise. Like I don't think that stuff could like it's never made me cry like to the point where I'm like, oh, he's in the game.
I totally get what you're saying, man.
Like I'm just like,
But yeah,
I'll
that
take it to
game
that point.
has a strong cult
But hold
following.
on, man.
People
Before we
who
move
die
on,
for it.
let me get because I already done forgot one of mine now. That's why I'm heated. You guys were waffling for so long. I forgot one of mine. So my first one.
And it must not be that much.
No, it was a banger. I'm just heated.
The banger, you would know it.
Anyways, fucking first one is The Prestige.
Oh yeah.
That's like one of my favorite movies because like I'm super into like magic, like just seeing magic, like just like that type of shit. Like Harry Potter's my shit and all of that. And that's like magic, like fucking like it's like they're stage magicians, but they're like doing like real magic sort of like fucking one is just like a trick and the other one was actually like using science and like alchemy and shit to like make doubles of himself.
Yeah, he was like Nikola
And then
Tesla
like
type
in the
shit.
end you kind of really still don't know which fucking like which guy it is, like which Christian Bale is it.
Well, I was just gonna
Like
say,
fucking like I love like the mystery. That's Scarlett Johansson in that bitch. Fucking
Yep. I forget that she's in that.
yeah, it's a great movie.
Well, if
Well,
you like that movie, you'll like Predestination.
You
should
don't,
like Predestination for sure.
You don't hear people talk about that one a lot,
I
Brandon?
rarely like ever hear anybody bring fucking.
Well,
the-
and
the
when you brought
Prestige
that up, I feel like that's a big known like film, in my opinion. Like
I don't
I-
know that many people that have
I
even seen it.
wouldn't necessarily say I hear it talked about a lot, but I definitely know that it like it's gotten its respect. Like I definitely
I don't know. I've never like aside from like you guys, like I don't even know nobody else that's seen it.
okay, yeah,
I've
okay, I
definitely
can
heard
see that.
people. I've definitely heard people like talk about it in like high regard, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that's what's up. Like that is a good movie.
Well, that's my first one. So,
Hell yeah, that is a
shut
good one.
up.
I remember when
It
I
is a good
first.
one.
The
I remember
second
when
one
I
I know for
first-
damn sure. The second one, Timeline. Timeline.
That's one of your favorite movies of all time.
Yes, dude. Fucking Timeline. You know, Timeline is my shit. What
Well,
the
and
fuck?
that's one that I would agree that not a lot of people know about.
You
Yeah.
know that movie is my shit. Fucking
Gerard
movie is-
Butler.
love it. Fucking
Legit.
Paul Walker in that bitch. Gerard Butler. There's a few. I always forget his name, but fucking dude was in Underworld. Fucking like that. That movie's dope because like I love time travel movies too, and like that one I just like I dig how they do it in that movie. Like
And
fucking,
medieval times is like
Yeah.
your jam.
yeah, medieval times is my shit. Like fucking, and like they go back to then, and then like they give them like Greek fire and shit, and like it like affects like the way like it changes obviously like the way that they do war, and like it's crazy. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, that is a dope movie. And if you like, that's what I'm saying. Like that's one of your favorite movies, then watch Predestination, watch Coherence, and you'll.
And
get your
this
mind
isn't
blown.
favorite movies.
But
this
you know,
is
I
movies
you talk
that
about
you
this
don't
movie all the
think,
time. This is a
or
movie
that
that
you
you've
don't hear
talked
people
about
talk
a
about.
lot.
Yeah,
And
this is my shit.
I would have never seen it if you weren't talking about it. That's what I'm saying. Like you got me onto that movie. So yeah, definitely if that you're digging that shit, Predestination is gonna blow your mind. Coherence, you're gonna enjoy as well. Like because those are even on a different level of time travel kind of shit where you're like, whoa. But it still has the same concepts that are in that movie too. Time, whatever. I fucking forgot it.
Time travel.
Yeah, time travel. But yeah, it's a low key movie, man. It is. It really is.
I said time, whatever.
Time, whatever.
I honestly remember being in the theater, seeing the trailer for it, and being like, "Oh, what? Paul Walker is in the time travel movie? That's sick!" And it's that scene where like they're standing over the portal thing, and it's like all flash, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Ah." And I was like, "Damn, that movie looks sick!" But yeah,
It's good.
I eventually did get to see it, but I will give you that is one movie like it was so hard to track down. I never seen it anywhere.
I remember I bought that shit
Never
at
playing on
Blockbuster.
TV. Like, damn.
I bought that shit at Blockbuster, like the DVD.
Nice. Hell
It's
yeah.
like $5.
Shout out to Blockbuster.
But
They had it
you know
on, like,
what?
a
I'm
streaming
actually
site.
kind of
They have it on a
I
streaming
think
site
it
now.
was on Netflix for a minute.
Because that's where I
This
saw
one,
it.
this
my
is not the
second
one
time.
that I forgot. Like this isn't the one that I forgot, and it might not even be like right for this category. But for some reason, it just popped into my head. I want to see what you guys think. The Warriors of Virtue.
Dude, you know what's crazy that you bring that up? Damn,
What?
the universe is always laughing at me. But fucking I loved the shit out of that movie.
Dude, that was my shit, right? Like that was
And
so dope.
And at the time, I didn't really realize, because Ninja Turtles, obviously, right, were so popular,
Yeah.
still are. But I didn't realize at the time when Ninja Turtles was really popping off that you started to get all these sort of attempts
At like animal karate movies.
Street Sharks and
Street Sharks.
Battle Toads and all these different
Yeah.
incarnations of animals having superpowers and fighting and all that stuff. But when I was a kid and I saw Warriors of Virtue, that never even entered my mind of like, oh yeah, okay, it's sort of playing on that whole concept. Just because the fact they were kangaroos.
Yeah, dude, that movie was so dope, and they had all different power. Like one of them was fire, one of them was steel, one of them was earth, water, and shit. Like I was like, dog, this movie is my shit. Like,
and honestly, I sort of and this is why I was laughing so much when you brought it up, because maybe a few months ago, sometimes I'll just like randomly get obsessed with shit like from the past.
Yeah.
And I'll just like obsess over it and just watch YouTube clips of it and just like consume it as much of it.
Oh, I remember the other one. Fuck yeah. Fuck you, Mike.
What is
it? Awake.
Oh, that's
with
another
fucking
one.
Anakin. With Anakin.
Oh yeah.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
And Jessica Alba, right?
And Terrence Howard.
Yes.
He is in that.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Like,
Oh,
and
but
that's
that-
just such a scary concept, man. Like, I fucking like that's like
I never saw it.
like, dude. Oh my goodness. So like, it's
it's so good.
Anakin. He needs heart surgery, right?
Right.
His best friend, or like one of his, like the guy who he thinks is his best friend, is Terrence Howard.
Hey,
And
spoilers.
you're not gonna fucking watch it. You're not gonna watch it. I
If I
know.
come
Dude,
across
no,
it,
don't
if
spoil
I
it.
come across
Ah!
It's,
All right.
Dude,
Well,
okay. That's one of the
it,
movies
well,
you
you
can't
already
spoil.
spoiled it.
No, it's not spoiled.
Obviously, he's
It's
not his
spoiled.
best.
It's not spoiled.
You got to see this movie, Frank.
All right.
This movie's
Anyways.
dope. I want to watch it right now.
Fucking
What are you
hell.
talking about?
Anyway, so Anakin needs heart surgery,
Yeah.
and when he goes into surgery, like there's this thing, and supposedly this really happens.
Really
like, in the
happens,
real
yeah.
world. In like 5% of maybe it's not that high. I feel
Yeah,
like
I've
it's not that
heard
high.
about it.
But it's called anesthesia awareness, where like
Yeah.
the person is put under, but they can still feel everything.
Mhm.
Like their body is asleep, but their senses are wide awake.
Yeah, they don't feel
So-
the pain, but they're
No, they feel the
feel.
pain. They
feel.
feel the pain.
Hmm.
Fucking but it's really rare. Anyways, that's basically what this movie's about. Like he goes in for heart surgery, but he can still feel everything. So they like slice him open and he can feel it. Like he's like screaming in his head. He's like, fuck. And then they put the rib splitter in him and like break his ribs, because that's what they have to do for heart surgery. They have to break your ribs
yeah.
to get in at it.
Right.
And like he feels that, and like he's just like talking to himself in his head. He's like, come on, you gotta do something. You're gonna die. Like you gotta blink your eyes. You gotta move your finger or something. Like it's crazy. Like
Mm.
it's super nuts.
Well, and then more things reveal. That's still not a spoiler, because there's more to the story where he's hearing conversations he shouldn't. All this other shit happens, and he's like, what the hell? So it like pretty much blows his whole mind.
Yeah.
And people, think he's unconscious, so they just start saying a bunch of random shit
Yeah.
that he's not supposed to hear. But that's just, you gotta, it's one of those movies you gotta see, and that's a really good one. And with the Warriors of Virtue, man,
I was just about to ask you, did you ever
brought that shit way out of like the another realm. Like that
Deep
movie
brain.
has, I
The
never
back
hear
brain.
anyone ever talk about that
the
movie.
back
That's
brain?
like digging.
Yeah,
And
dude.
you know what's so cool? What I think made that movie so cool, as far as like it resonating, but maybe not on like a commercial level, is because I went back and watched like YouTube clips, but the fight choreography and the fight scenes in that
So
movie
dope.
are like
so dope.
top
Like,
tier.
Fucking like
dang.
that's like they got the same dude who did Matrix. Like fucking
Wu Ping.
yeah, choreography. What is it?
But yeah.
Anyways, he did
crazy.
that shit and it's dope. Like I just fucked with like how they all had different powers and shit. I love that. Like the fire one, he was like doing like sparks when he was like fighting and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that's dope as fuck.
Well, and it's in all these movies, I feel like, are like in a league of their own. Like even there's movies similar, but
Like, I
for
might
some reason
take
these
them
ones
in a
stand
fight
out
over
and
the
have
Ninja
something
Turtles.
special about
Like,
them, if that makes sense.
we never get to see the Warriors of Virtue fleshed out. We don't know.
Yeah,
That's all I'm saying. Like, we need a comic series. We need something, because fucking those motherfuckers might whoop the Ninja Turtles ass.
And for everyone who's watching this, like these are all movies you need to see. Like every single one.
If you've never seen Warriors of Virtue, your parents fucked up. Right?
You know what's funny?
I
is
had that shit on VHS.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had that on VHS, and I watched that.
I watched all the time.
Into the dirt.
Yeah,
Well, and
like,
this
so
is-
that shit like wore it out. Like fucking.
And what's so dope about like Warriors of Virtue and just like that era, in the early 90s, and also with this, it's like it plays on the whole kung fu. And as a kid, that was my shit.
Yeah,
like,
dude, that was my shit.
That was
Dude, like
it.
Jackie Chan movies were
Like-
so dope.
And not a lot of people know about this, but dude, I went as a fucking ninja for like 10 years of my life, like the first 10 years of my
dude.
life.
I think
Power
Ninja
Rangers,
every
dog.
year for Halloween.
Power Rangers,
Yeah.
like I think was like what got every kid into
and Ninja
karate
Turtles.
and shit. Like Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Fucking and like Jackie Chan and shit.
Yeah, for sure. Jackie Chan, yeah.
Um,
I remember like literally every time I would get home from seeing a Jackie Chan movie in theaters, I would just be destroying my bathroom and
yeah,
like trying to fight with the
fighting the car door, like, what's up, Carl? Like,
oh shit. Because he was always using his surroundings, you know, like
yeah, like
with
he
the
was
towel
like
and put his
like-
jacket on and
flip backwards in his chair, like fucking.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's that movie.
I don't know,
Or
like
that
Ninja
dude.
Turtles really did it. Like there's just so much shit, but like Ninja Turtles, even like Batman a little's a
I
ninja.
have something for you.
There's all this shit. Yeah, there's all this shit like where I was a kid, like I kid you not, like I thought I was gonna grow up to be a ninja. To
Yeah,
lurk in
dude.
the shadows and fucking assassinate people or just beat the shit out of them. Like that's what I
Oh,
wanted
look,
to do.
I just disappeared on that ass. I am a ninja.
That's funny,
I
but yeah,
remember-
dude, that was my shit.
Oh, it didn't work that time.
I actually had some action figures of that movie. And my favorite character,
For Warriors of Virtue?
yeah,
What?
yeah.
That's crazy.
And my favorite character was Yi. He was the one that had the steel, the hula hoop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just like that he didn't talk. He was like the strong but
Yeah.
silent type.
He did like sign language and shit.
Yeah. And he was like, it was funny because like he actually had like some like cute moments where he was like kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
scared easily.
And like he like taught he just did like the noises. He'd be like, oh.
Yeah, he would just grunts.
And like when he was scared, like when they were hanging on to it, he was like,
Yeah.
that shit.
That's literally what I was thinking.
And like the fire one's like, fucking Yee, chill out.
Oh my
The
god.
fire one was my guy, like him, and like the main one, I guess. Like,
The water one, yeah.
and then there was an older one, and he was the one for wood. Remember?
Yeah. And then the girl one was the
Flowers and shit. Yeah. So there was water. He was like the one that left.
Yeah.
Like they had to go
Yun.
find him and shit.
Yun.
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yun.
Yun. And then Yi, and then I don't know the other
I
ones. I
forget-
wish I could remember the fire one's name because he was my guy.
I know. Him and the steel one were my favorites.
Let me see if I can Google that real quick.
Yeah, what are the freaking
Warriors
it's gonna piss me off.
But man, dude, those are the good old
Virtue
days. Those are the good old days. Cause
But what I liked about the because you know obviously
Okay, there was what the fuck? Okay, keep talking.
because what I really liked about that movie is like obviously you had all the fantastical elements like you know all the kangaroos and the martial arts and like the world that he travels to and all that.
yeah.
But what I also really appreciated about it is like the real world stuff, like because the main character he's handicapped, right? He wants
Yeah,
to,
he's got like leg braces and shit.
yeah, he's got the leg brace, but he's like the water boy. He wishes he could be on the football team and play and you know, he likes the pretty popular girl and like all that stuff resonated with me as a kid, you know, where I was like, oh man, that would be sick to like fall into a big old water hole and not die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be transported to another world
What the
because
fuck? There was a sequel
it was probably trash.
in 2002. The sequel, Warriors of Virtue: The Return to Tao.
What?
I might need to see that actually.
Okay.
I need to learn about it.
I might need to see.
There's actually one final thing I wanted to say about Warriors of Virtue. That was the first time I ever heard somebody say the phrase, "Let's make like a Tom and Cruise."
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite shit. Like I heard that and I was
that's
like,
so sick.
I was like, that's my shit.
Yeah.
Always.
His homie cracked me up.
Yeah.
I always got scared at the part when they're like when the older kids like pick them up and they're like, come on, like come hang out with us and shit like that. And they're like walking down the dark tunnel and they're like,
Yeah.
they're gonna make hot dogs out of our wieners. I was like, oh god.
Oh,
That used to traumatize me.
And he has the flashlight. He
Yeah,
like
he's
puts
like-
it down there. He's like with shishka balls on the side.
What's on the side?
Yeah.
And I just remember being a young kid. I was like, I'm never hanging out with any older kids
Yeah.
ever.
That's
Damn.
funny.
All right, we're
But anyway, at the
we're
beginning-
about towards the end.
My last note on that, at the beginning when he's in the bathroom and his mom is like leaving for work, whatever, he's like in the bathroom reading all the comics and kind of envisioning them in his mind. And yeah, I totally resonated with that movie, like on so many levels.
Dude, I resonated
Fucking,
with all kinds of like, as I said, martial arts like was my shit as a kid. Like
yeah.
I used to practice that shit in my room. Like I got a pair of nunchucks and I mastered those motherfuckers like in a year, dude. Like I was doing some crazy shit with them.
Because
I
then
ain't never seen you with no nunchucks.
I have nunchucks right now.
I ain't never pull them out. Give us a
What?
fucking. Oh,
I stay
shit.
ready. I don't gotta get ready, bro.
Oh fuck!
These are no
Well,
plastic motherfuckers either.
Do a flip then.
I'm
do
sitting
something.
down. I gotta
Whatever.
stand
A
up.
true master can do it whenever, dog, in any situation.
That's
You
awesome.
can do that shit in a paper bag.
Well, you obviously don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
But I liked how he would like go to the Asian restaurant and like his main homie was like the chef and he was like
Yeah,
saving people and cooking food with martial arts. I was like,
yeah. And he would like get the towel and he'd like
always do that.
like yeah, dude. I do that forever. Like I've always done that since I've seen that movie.
Shit.
Like,
Yeah, he goes like
fucking,
rings it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've loved that. I do that still to this day.
You know who also
Fucking,
did that? Every time I would see that, it would also remind me of the scene in Batman Forever when Robin is doing his laundry and he's like mopping up all the wet.
Oh yeah.
And he's like throwing his socks on like the fucking
Yeah.
the line and shit. I always like had those two scenes like back to back in my brain.
Yeah. Fucking A. Well, all right, y'all. We're towards the end of this one, but we do have a new segment on culturology that we did not want to leave without giving you a taste of.
That's
yeah, watch
right.
all those movies we just talked about.
Yeah, watch all those movies. But this new segment that we got is called. I hope we could get like some letters across the screen in the edit, Mike.
Yeah, that'd be
but and like a da da da.
yeah.
But it's called "Fuck You, Scorsese."
Shut the fuck up, Scorsese.
Shut your lips,
Fucking,
Scorsese.
because while I do enjoy your movies,
Some of you may know.
he's been saying some disparaging things about our favorite cast and crew of movies.
Scorsese came out, I don't know, maybe within the last year or two, and basically, expressed his lack of enthusiasm for all these big blockbuster comic book Marvel.
Yeah,
slash-
I heard him say something along the lines of like he thinks they're all the same, like there's no substance to them, like
They're not real cinema.
for a guy who's made the same movie 18 times, he says a lot. Like, I
That's
mean,
some real
come
shit.
on, bro. How many times am I gonna see Robert De Niro play a gangster in one of your movies?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, and I'm just
So-
saying, like, you make some good movies, but don't
Yeah.
be vlogging people.
I don't think none of those movies are the
Stay
fucking
in your
highest
shit.
grossing movie of all time. I
Exactly.
don't know.
He just mad.
Yeah, fucking. But so we thought, what better way to combat this negative energy than to spread some positive energy
Well,
from
fuck you
within
is
the
pretty
Marvel
negative.
universe.
It's pretty negative word.
That's a positive because we're saying fuck you to his negative vibes.
Yeah.
So fucking.
Because
What we're gonna do is each week we're gonna pick on a director or an actor that has been in a Marvel movie or a superhero movie in general, a comic book movie
Mhm.
that just shows like, hey man, like this is a serious deal. Like these movies ain't for play. Like we got serious actors taking these roles. We got serious directors making these films. Like serious money being put behind them. Like this is cinema, dude.
And they do numbers. Like everyone goes to see these movies.
Bits, dog. Fucking but for week one, I would like to nominate like the Big Papa.
Yeah, let's focus on
Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my god, yeah,
like the big
one.
Papa,
the main one.
Yeah, like for week one, couldn't be no one else. Like,
because literally Samuel L. Jackson, I feel like has been acting since been acting.
Yeah, he's been acting since been acting, dude. Like he is movies.
He's been in every movie ever since he was born. Like
like fucking like And like this man's resume speaks for itself. Like he does like he's had like been in some of the like most legendary movies of all time. Like,
and he was even in Goodfellas.
yeah, like come on, Scorsese.
Come
Fuck
on.
you.
Shut the fuck up,
For real.
Scorsese.
Fucking man.
Oh
Like
my
so
God.
like let's what's your favorite, but not including Marvel, favorite
Samuel
movie? Mine's gonna shock you, I think.
Damn, that's a tough one.
Holy hell.
I'll give you mine.
All
What
right.
you think? Mine is actually Basic. You ever seen that?
That's a good movie with John Travolta.
Yeah, John Travolta's in that bitch. Fucking, that's
It's like a mystery.
It's such a good movie.
I do really like that one actually.
Yeah, Basic. Like if you haven't seen Basic, go
Shout out
see
to
that.
Basic. That goes on the lesser known.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, fucking.
And you know what's funny is I remember like back in the day when you had like FX right channel. Like,
yeah, that would come on.
It was always on.
Yeah,
so
Basic.
I feel like I was the only person that ever seen it. Like
that shit would be like on like FX and like TMC.
Yeah,
fucking like all the time, like a 24-hour loop.
Yeah.
But that movie was my shit. That was, I mean, I don't know if I would categorize that as a Samuel movie because he definitely like the key piece. Yeah, that's his movie. Fuck that. He's like the key piece in that movie.
Damn, that's a hard.
And I fucked with his character, like fucking.
I haven't seen it in so long.
He's like the hard ass like drill sergeant that they're all like trying to get.
I just remember what happens to him that ultimately leads them on the
little twisty.
But oh, that's right. That was like the best part of the movie. I was like,
yeah, that's one of those moments like you were talking about earlier. Like the dialogue just led up to that.
Yeah, that is a good one.
And like when she's like following him at the end, like where's he going?
Yeah. Shit. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I have to say, like, without taking forever to think, I really like Unbreakable with Bruce Willis.
That's a good one.
Because I was not expecting.
That's a good one.
I was not expecting his twist in that at the end, where he, you know, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I'm due for a rewatch of that too.
And that's not necessarily even like, because like when I think about that movie, I don't necessarily think of.
I think Bruce Willis.
Yeah, like I just don't remember how much screen time Samuel actually has in that movie, but I remember like.
Have you watched Glass?
No, well, I haven't sat down and watched it, but I basically like spoiled everything about it.
I haven't seen. I know nothing about it.
I've seen it.
I need to.
Kind
don't say nothing.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say anything.
It kind of.
I want to see it.
I don't know if you want to watch it.
Split and
Split was amazing.
Unbreakable and Glass are all in the same shit, right?
Yeah. Split was amazing.
Yeah, that I want to see that.
You don't find out until the end of Split that they're all connected.
Yeah, because you see Bruce in this.
But I just remember when I was like spoiling everything about Glass for myself, I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? That is what happens."
Well, don't say nothing.
I'm not gonna, but still.
Hey!
Fuck that movie.
Well, and what's dope about Split?
I'm just gonna keep Split and Unbreakable alive in my mind and pretend Glass never even happened.
Well, and what makes Split such a good movie is that you don't even know it's connected until the very like last scene.
Yeah.
But without even that little piece, it's still an amazing movie. Like it's still an amazing movie without even that extra.
Imagine a more shit
moment.
Power though. Like,
but see, I wonder how much pressure.
You just your bones are glass. That's your power.
See, I wonder how much pressure Shyamalan honestly was under by the movie studio, because if you think about it, when Glass came out, or pre-Glass, like when Split came out, let's say even.
All right, we're getting. This is supposed to be about fuck Scorsese.
The MCU was exploding. You know what I mean?
So I see what you're saying. Like,
going back to what we kind of said like last week, everyone is like, we need a cinematic universe. We need a cinematic universe. Yeah. So they're like, hey, Split is a great movie. Why don't you shove Bruce Willis in there at the end? And he's probably like, what? And they're like, yeah, you remember that one movie you made back in the day? Let's bring that back. And then
the one we ain't talked about in time.
And he's just like, oh my God, really? And they're like, hey, we'll pay you a shit ton of money. He's like, all right.
All right, and
Twisted
then I
my
got
arm.
mine now that we're talking about this. It's going to be a classic. It's not going to be a surprise, I don't think, to anyone. He's
Deep
not
Blue
the
Sea.
main character,
Pulp
but he does
Fiction.
play an amazing supporting kind of character in it, and it's Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just Pulp Fiction, man.
I mean, his character is honestly the best in it.
Yeah,
The one that
he's
says
my.
badass motherfucker.
He's
Well, and
there.
it also has Bruce Willis in it.
Yeah. He's
Come
there.
on, man.
He's there to do a
Movie has
job.
like everybody in it.
Well, he's
Also
there.
has John Travolta in it from Basic.
Yeah.
It's a circle.
I mean, and that's just one of the best
Spider-Man.
movies, you know, and like it's just a really good movie in general. But
Well,
that's my
what's-
favorite movie with him in it. And the second one will also be from the same director, which is going to be Django Unchained. I love him in that as well.
Oh, I can't
Those are my
stand
two
him in that movie.
I don't like him in that. But
That's
like,
why. That's why he's
that's
good
like
in
that's
it.
a
'Cause I hate
good
him.
like that's a testament to
He makes
to
me
his
hate him
acting.
so good.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
testament
yeah.
to his acting.
He-
It's like
he-
you really hate that character.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he
Okay.
definitely makes that. He gives
There's
that.
just those actors that can do that, man. Like fucking like the
Like
lady.
who would,
I don't know
who
her
would
name,
play that
but
character? No one else.
I mean,
Forrest Whitaker.
I mean, honestly, it was even hard for me
You can see
watching.
Forrest Whitaker playing
It honestly was hard even for me to watch Leo be that character. I was just like, oh my God,
for
he's so
real.
I
cringe.
love that movie.
I don't know, but
In a good
they
way.
both murder that movie. Like they're the best part.
yeah.
Like when it comes to performances, it goes Leo, Samuel, then Jamie in
Mhm.
that movie.
No, I think the guy that we were just talking about, the guy who just
Christoph.
Christoph,
yes,
Christoph.
he's the one who steals the show for me in that movie.
Leo.
I love.
That's what
I-
made
Just
him
the
one of my
pure fact
favorite
that-
actors.
Just the
That
pure
movie.
fact that like the whole thing, like where he actually did cut his hand, and that was real blood that he rubbed on her face and shit. I'm like, damn, that's
Improvised.
that's going the extra mile, man. That
Yeah,
what?
Dude.
Where's his Oscar for that movie? That's
Well,
what
and I
wanna
think
know.
Leo is actually probably my
But
favorite.
like they probably can't
actor
give
of all
that
time.
role an Oscar.
Just because he's never not shocked me. Like
Mhm.
in any movie he's been in, if you put out a movie that's coming out tomorrow and Leo's in it, I'm watching it. There's no
I
question
still need to
about
see
it.
Once Upon a Time. We kind of went off on a tangent in
But
this
yeah, that was good.
Scorsese segment, but you know where we're coming from.
You know what we're getting at.
Fuck you, Scorsese. Shut up.
Yeah, because everyone wants a piece of that Marvel or
Yeah.
DC or whatever pie. And you know what? At the heart of it, this is my quarry with his comments. Is like if you think about it, right? At the core of all filmmaking and storytelling, it's all Shakespeare, right? It's all actors getting up on the stage and portraying these characters. It's all Greek mythology. And I know for a fact,
Yeah, there's
obviously,
only 4 stories.
obviously never
world.
met the guy, but I know for a fact that Scorsese has to have some level of appreciation for that. And that's why he's a filmmaker. So you would think that he could at least, if anything, grab that from these comic book movies that just dominate, that they're like Shakespearean tales, you know what I mean? But I think maybe he's just kind of like that old kind of grumpy guy now. He's like,
Well, and because
Fucking,
look at how big it is. I think that's why
yeah,
caused
maybe
him
he
to
just
make
gets
this
sick of
comment.
seeing it everywhere and hearing about it.
It's like, damn it, The Irishman was good, okay?
Yeah.
Don't watch it.
That's
You
what
don't
it
want
is.
Marvel.
No one went and saw his movie, so he's pissed.
Yeah,
Well, and that's what
fucking,
I think that's what it really is at the heart of it. His beef
And
with it is that
yeah.
it's everywhere. You can't not look anywhere in cinema
Yeah.
that they're not doing stuff. Like
Well, and-
they're not trying to copy. Cinema's like trying to copy everything that they're doing.
Well,
and that
like
might be
this-
why he's like, no,
I saw
get
this.
those. Let's go
I saw
back
this
to
video
shooting
not
people in
too
the
long
face.
ago. I forget a couple of them, but like they were like talking about how there's really only like 4 stories. They're just told in like different ways, like throughout time.
Yeah.
Like there's like the betrayal story, the
Mhm.
underdog story, and like they named a couple other ones. And like I was thinking about it, like, and like most
true.
movies that come out
Mhm.
fit in these 4 categories. Like fucking
Yeah.
so like it's just like, so like, well, of course there's gonna be stuff repeated,
Yeah.
So that's why all these remakes are coming out and shit.
Well,
Like,
everything's been done and said.
I'd
before.
rather fucking like something come out like that, like the MC, like where it draws from source material that I enjoy already,
Yeah.
rather than like fucking a remake of something that fucking
Yeah.
has been done already.
Yeah.
Well, and this goes
Well-
full circle into what we were just talking about, all those movies we mentioned. That's why those movies stand out. It's because they kind of pave their own way. They do their own thing. And I respect that. They do it well.
Well, and I think too, like, and maybe, you know, Scorsese, I'm sure he's just like a very kind of straight shooter, like says what he's thinking and not really gives a fuck about like what other people think, which I can respect. But I think in my opinion, I think what he's really saying when he says all that is like, look, I know these movies are hugely popular, but there's other good movies out there. You know, it'd be kind of like how us.
That's not what he's saying, though.
I think that is what he's saying, but it's like, dude, shut up. You don't need to say that. We know.
Yeah, you don't need
like,
to.
just because I be fucking up a basket of hot wings, don't mean you need to tell me that there's also steak. I know steak is out there.
Yeah.
I'm focused on these wings right here.
Yeah.
Like, let me have my wings, bro.
Because, like, you know how back in the day we used to be super. Well, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I know how I used to be back in the day. Was like, oh man, you know, everything like mainstream music and everything on the radio is garbage and trash.
You're
and
a hipster. You're a
pop
hipster.
and it's all the same, and you know what I mean.
Well, once
like,
it became popular, it wasn't cool no more. Like, and that's still true to some extent in my life, where it's like, oh, now everyone's rocking that. I'm not rocking that as much, but not with Marvel,
hence
not with
the
comics,
Crocs.
but with other stuff.
Hence the Crocs.
Yeah, be rocking them right now.
but I think that's
comfy as shit.
I think that's at the core of what Scorsese is saying. Is like, look, you know, but I just hope people are, you know, well versed and like give their palate a good, you know, like that's not all they're consuming. You know what I mean? But fuck them still.
Yeah, fuck you, Scorsese.
You know how you can get back at them? Just make a
You
really
and the
movie.
dude that directed Dune, I don't even know his name, can go suck each other off.
You know what Scorsese?
Make us love mob movies again. Make a fucking really epic story.
You know what Scorsese needs to do, because mob shit is his like shtick.
Yeah.
He needs to make a fucking Punisher movie where the Punisher murders all the dudes of the movies he's been making for the last 50 years.
Yeah, join the
you know
team.
You know who they should have had?
Join them.
Now, I was actually gonna ask you guys, like, who, like, this was something I was gonna bring up earlier, but we're like almost out of time.
That's all good.
Who is someone like a director that normally doesn't do this type of movie? You pick them and you have them do like a movie that they don't usually do. You know what I mean? Like, have Scorsese do a fucking Marvel movie.
Right.
I was thinking, like, this isn't really that. Like, this is just kind of like something I would have liked to have seen, and you brought him up earlier. Like, imagine if Tim Burton directed Moon Knight.
I mean, I would watch it. I don't know how it would be.
It'd be crazy. It'd be nuts. Like,
I mean, I know I would enjoy it. I know it'd be tailored to like my liking. I don't know about the masses, but
the masses love Tim Burton.
They do, but I feel like sometimes, again, like, and this just goes for any artist in any creative medium, is like when they love you for one kind of thing, they're like, oh, I want him. That's his thing. That's what he does. I want that from him. But like when because like, have you ever seen or heard of Big Eyes?
No.
That's a Tim Burton movie. And no one ever talks about that movie. Speaking of, it's got the fucking...
Oh, I'm not a fucking Tim Burton like fanatic or anything, but like I just know his style. And it seemed like Moon Knight is something that he can really mold.
But that's what I'm saying, is like people have this preconceived notion of like all these directors or whatever, like their aesthetic and their style. Because I agree, I think Moon Knight by Tim Burton, that'd be sick. But what I'm saying is like when directors try to like go out of their way to do something that maybe there isn't typically their forte, and like it does, sometimes it's kind of a shame, but it doesn't get a lot of love or attention or, you know, whatever. Or like even just like artists in general, like music artists, like they try to experiment and do other shit, and people are like, I want the old this. I want it's just like
I think I may have even phrased the question wrong. Like maybe like a better way to phrase it would be like a director, take them, put them in a setting where you think that they would kill it. Like, because you know what really brought this, like made me think of this, Mike, is I was thinking like if there were to be like a big budget Hollywood movie for Mass Effect, who would I want to direct that? And I thought James Cameron. Like
really James Cameron.
He's the only one I think like Avatar, like bring that Avatar flavor to the Mass Effect universe. Like I
but
think
is that the only movie?
I think that'd be good.
I would say,
is it that movie only alone though that kind of gives you that notion in his catalog?
Yeah, I mean like just I know that he's a great director because of like fucking Titanic and fucking Avatar and what the fuck there's like another one I'm thinking of it. I can't remember, but there's another one that I really like of his. And I know he can do like the alien space vibes because of Avatar. So like I think that'd be my pick. But like then again, like there's James Gunn. He'd kill it, I think, too, in a Mass Effect setting. George Lucas.
You want to know who I would
think?
think?
Out of retirement.
And this is actually one of my favorite directors, just period. Not necessarily when we're talking about like DC films, other than, well, I just gave it away, but Christopher Nolan.
I guessed it. You didn't give it away. I guessed it full like 30 seconds before you said DC.
But yeah, like he killed it with Dark Knight, but I'm not talking about like Justice League and that kind of shit. But but I could see him making a really good Mass Effect movie. Christopher Nolan, man, he's my dude. He's like probably my favorite director overall.
What's just to tack on to that. Earlier when we were saying back to the whole lesser known movies. Because I know, I don't want to.
Well, and he made The Prestige, too.
Holy shit! Again.
It's a circle.
But I mean, I don't want to just speak for everyone and anyone, because I know it was a big movie and it did well, and people talk about it a lot. But I just maybe it's
Transformers. Damn it.
That's Michael Bay.
Oh, that is Michael Bay. You're right. My bad.
Yeah, forget him.
Michael Bay.
Fuck Michael Bay.
Yeah, get him out of here. He ruined Ninja Turtles. He ruined it. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I'll never forgive you.
Shit. But again, speaking of Christopher Nolan, one of my favorite movies of all time, and I guess sometimes for me it's just kind of hard to gauge its I think
I know what you're gonna say.
Its impact. But speaking of like epic space, is Interstellar.
Bro, they got like Avatar movies like slated out until like 2035.
Dude, I love Interstellar.
There's like 6. Like I looked up James Cameron movie list, and there's like 6 Avatars on here, like fucking slated to come out like in the next 10 years. Holy balls! Talk about an overload.
And I'm just gonna say some of my best movies on my top 10 list most of them are his movies. Not all of them, but he has really good caliber of movies. You know, like The Prestige, Dark Knight, Inception, which is like my second favorite movie of all time. Interstellar. That's what I'm saying. Like he's that dude for me.
Speaking of,
you know who the best
can't miss.
Another good movie that both of you guys I think would like, because it's very simple, it's very grounded and realistic. It's not all big and epic and fantastical.
Yeah.
And it's a Christopher Nolan movie. It's one of his first movies, and it has Aldrich Killian from Iron Man 3. It's got Joey Pants, Cypher from The Matrix, and it's got Trinity from The Matrix.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
You've seen it?
This is the movie that I thought you were going to say before you said Interstellar. This is
Oh.
like the movie that is still not a lot of people talk about, but it's really, really good.
This movie, honestly, because I always enjoy hearing people talk about movies that are like highly regarded just in a filmmaking sense.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what is that? I need to see it. And I've heard this movie talked about a lot.
Have you seen it?
And yeah, and this movie I'd honestly put up there with Predestination as far as like it really just like those are the kind of movies we need to be making with the ability to make movies. You know what I mean? Like as much as I love No Way Home and Endgame and all that shit, I'm like these like Predestination and Memento is the name of it. But those are kind of the movies that like that's why we make movies. You know what I mean? It's like I want to see those kind of stories be told because Memento, not to give too much about it away for those who haven't seen it, and Brandon, you need to check it out. But
I know it's about. I've heard of it.
It has to do with memory.
You gotta watch it though.
It's just crazy about like not knowing, you know, everything isn't what it seems, and it's a mystery.
I've seen the episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine where they spoofed that movie, so I'm good. That was fine.
Well, you know what's funny though is like if when you start playing the movie, like literally from the first frame that like it starts on, it could be the end of the movie. It's so like I've never seen anything like that done before. And then by the time you get to the end of the movie, like the last frame, it's like you could watch that movie in reverse, like
That's like a palindrome.
down, backwards. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
Have you seen Tenet?
No, I need to see that one though.
That's a
He's my
palindrome
dude.
movie too.
Yeah.
He's my dude.
I
need to see that movie.
But all right, y'all. I want to leave you with the greatest director of all time. Okay.
We already talked
greatest
about
director of all time. No, the greatest director of all time. Also directed the greatest movie of all time, and that man is Louis C.K. Because he directed Pootie Tang. So
get the hell.
End it. This has been Cultureology. Wow. We love y'all. Check the description for the links. Fucking, we out of here.
Cut that. We're cutting that. Like and subscribe, y'all.
Peace.